Story 1. I finally felt like I had made it when I moved into a house and discovered a room I had no idea how to use. It's been months and it's still empty. Story 2. The good toilet paper. I grew up with a single mom who always bought the cheapest toilet paper she could find. I still distinctly remember when I visited a middle-class friend's house and saw triple ply for the first time. My brain told me it was some sort of towel material, and I was very confused for a moment. Story 3. Children have cute bedding. The small difference in price between plain sheets and blankets and the adorable designs featuring dinosaurs and unicorns is significant when you're on a tight budget. Story 4. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, I remember most about middle-class houses was the abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables they always had. There would be a large bowl on the counter and plenty in the fridge and pantry, not just inexpensive factory food. Story 5. No noticeable damage or repairs are needed. There are cracks and chips in the walls, damage to the floors or furniture, and old windows. Can be cleaned but needs repair. Having a house and being able to afford to maintain it are two separate things. Story 6. Books. Shelves full of books. That was what struck me as a child visiting my affluent friends' homes. My parents didn't read much when I was young, but I was passionate about books. Seeing walls lined with books in my friends' houses made me think they were very intelligent and wealthy. I know that's not necessarily true, especially these days, but while I have never become rich myself, I suppose I became middle class through education and life experiences. My apartment is filled with books I've read or plan to read one day. I always believed that being middle class was connected to having a library of books. Story 7. Their houses are much brighter. It seems like they have more lights, and those lights are newer and brighter without any burnt-out bulbs. Story 8. No piles of old junk. Don't get me wrong, middle-class families have their hobby items crammed in the garage, but I'm referring to the half-broken chair that could be useful in a pinch or the repaired salad bowl that's now serving as a dog bowl. People with limited resources cannot afford to throw things away today and repurchase tomorrow. Especially in my area, we make do until items are thoroughly worn out. A cooking pot might last for decades, then get repurposed as a dog bowl, and when it rusts through, it could be turned into a doorbell or a target for shooting. In a middle-class household, the pot gets bought and then replaced when the set becomes old. Story 9. Actual counter space in the kitchen. Bonus points for having kitchen gadgets on that counter that we did not have room for. Story 10. I was humbled. I have a large pantry filled with food and 2 refrigerators full of items. Yet I caught myself complaining that I didn't have anything good to snack on. This realization made me reflect and remind myself to be grateful for my blessings. Story 11. Fun drinks. As soon as I moved into the middle class as an adult, I started to spend my money on Olipop, little smoothies, protein shakes, and similar items. I'm still very budget conscious, so sometimes it feels like I'm breaking a rule by buying them. Story 12. As a child, our apartment had old and worn linoleum glued to the concrete floor. It was slippery, hard, and so thin that you could feel imperfections in the surface. Everything echoed off the hard surfaces, especially in the kitchen. Even modern vinyl flooring with a built-in layer of padding feels better, despite being somewhat similar. Visiting a friend's house with new padded carpet was magical. It not only felt better, but it also made the room quieter. Story 13. I remember back-to-school shopping in middle school. Think JCPenney and Kmart. Mom budgeted and paid cash for everything. I would get a few new things, but not much. Most of my clothes were hand-me-downs from relatives. My best friend picked out all her own clothes in a nice department store and put them on hold. Her dad went by the store after work, paid for everything, and brought it home to her. No bargaining, no pleading, or figuring out what to buy and what to put back. 45 years later, I contributed to her crowdfunding campaign so she wouldn't get evicted from her apartment. I feel terrible for her. Her childhood and teenage years were the best years of her life. Story 14. I once had a speaker tell the group that the lower class is surviving. They don't have money to fix things or to have things fixed. The middle class has tools and is made up of do-it-yourselfers, while the upper class does not have tools because they hire the work out. So yes, tools. Story 15. Central air conditioning and heating are essential. Not having an air conditioning unit in most of the windows is a luxury, as is not needing a large kerosene heater in the living room. A driveway is ideal, especially if it includes a garage. More appliances beyond the basic necessities are beneficial, such as a dishwasher, garbage disposal, and a kitchen sink with a handheld sprayer. Each bedroom should accommodate an individual. An additional bathroom designated for the master bedroom is preferable, along with multiple bathrooms overall. A special area exclusively for children to play is important. Story 16. I remember when I was around 9 or 10, I went to my first sleepover. It struck me when we arrived. There was absolutely no trash in the yard, no strange trees growing through the fence, no peeling paint, no cracks in the windows, and no bare patches on their lawn from a fire. Story 17. Name brand snacks have always intrigued me. I never had handy snacks, Gushers, Hi-C, or Lunchables as a kid. I love that I can afford them now that I am 38 years old. Story 18. Since my divorce, I have come to realize, after reading all these comments, that I am living below middle-class standards now. However, I no longer desire any of those things. Story 19. Food without a plan is something you can eat anytime. I remember my middle-class friends casually offering me a bowl of cereal or chips after school as a snack. I was amazed at the luxury of this. At home, everything was rationed or stretched thin enough to last until the next paycheck. Every bit of food had a purpose. We couldn't just eat whatever we wanted whenever we felt like it. Additionally, matching furniture sets and getting your hair done at a salon were activities I associated with wealth. Story 20. I grew up poor and was taught that whatever you buy should be the absolute cheapest, even if it meant replacing it often because it was of low quality. Now, I buy better quality items and actually save money. Story 21. Growing up, I always thought my friends who had stairs, meaning a two-story single-family home, were really wealthy. You have 2 whole floors? It's like a house on top of another house. Story 22. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at you. You're a rich girl with your above-ground pool, your 2 kinds of chips, and your 1 dad. Forget it. Derek Glossner, the middle. Story 23. I remember visiting my uncle's house when I was little. I had never seen an ice maker on the fridge before. It was the stuff of legend. Story 24. I am 42 years old and have never had my own washer and dryer. I am still using communal coin laundry. A washer and dryer room that I can use whenever I want is all I need. Story 25. Walls that aren't white. I remember the first time we painted a room after buying our house. Felt so strange. I had never chosen a wall color before. Story 26. Growing up in poverty, I assumed that anyone who owned a house was doing well. My family did not live in houses. We were fortunate if we could afford an apartment. It may seem trivial, but to me, owning or living in a house, rather than an apartment, always represented a significant achievement. Beyond that, having regular access to food and not relying on food stamps or government food boxes was important. Being able to visit a doctor, having clothes and shoes, owning a car, and ensuring that my children did not have to help pay bills through jobs like babysitting, mowing lawns, or delivering newspapers were all significant milestones. I have a long list of such essentials. I share this perspective from my background of growing up in poverty, without stability, and often having to care for myself. My judgment regarding success has been shaped by a focus on basic needs. For me, having a roof over my head and food to eat felt like a sign of great wealth. At 43, I have finally managed to meet my basic needs consistently and successfully escape poverty. This achievement is particularly striking to me because I have worked hard my entire life without a support system. Being able to purchase groceries feels surreal, and I do not take it for granted, as I fear losing it. Story 27. It has to be pillows. For some reason, we have around 1,500 pillows. Some of them have embellishments that can slice your ear off. Story 28. Central air conditioning instead of window units felt luxurious. One of my friend's parents would get water delivered. We had good quality tap water in our area, but they were very health conscious. That seemed like such an extravagant luxury to me. Story 29. Chocolate milk in a carton rather than mixing your own. Orange juice that comes in a jug instead of frozen concentrate. Multiple types of name-brand soda. Capri Sun pouches instead of a pitcher of Kool-Aid. Beverages reflect a lot about income. Story 30. Pets that are regularly bathed, groomed, fed quality food, and receive routine veterinary checkups earn bonus points if they are on medication. The house should be clean and not have an unpleasant smell. It is important to host others regularly without feeling embarrassed. Story 31. My friend from high school visited my home and saw it all the way through. My room was at the other end of the house, and he said, "Your home is huge." That thought never dawned on me. I never thought that my home was large. I never considered it anything other than my home, but to him, it was massive. The house had 25 windows on one floor, and my family, the three of us, had both floors. But looking upwards, I remember visiting a more affluent friend on his birthday, and I noticed that his ceilings were so much higher. My ceilings were high, but his were significantly taller. Summary: home size and high ceilings. Story 32. A cupboard or pantry area full of snacks. At least when I was growing up. Back then, not that long ago but still a while ago, people in my neighborhood did not have snacks lying around. Certainly, we did not have them in my house. My dad would not even buy another type of cereal. Story 33. I found my first set of furniture alongside the road. My shelves were made of boards and cinder blocks from Home Depot. Story 34. I took care of a 90-year-old woman who grew up poor and had 6 siblings. Her mother always told her that just because they were poor, it didn't mean the house had to be a mess or that personal hygiene was optional. Story 35. My parents always bought snacks, paper goods, and toiletries in bulk because it was cheaper. My friends thought we were rich. Before I moved out, my mom explained that there are essential items like soap and toilet paper that I will always need. She advised me to buy enough to last for months when it's on sale. This concept seems to elude more people than I ever imagined. I have friends in their 40s who still buy only a single 4-pack of toilet paper and often have to rush to the store when they realize they are out. Story 36. I had a friend over, and they were amazed that my mom lit candles for dinner in the dining room. I never understood how poor they were or why my mom invited them over but never went there for dinner. Story 37. Brand name shampoo, liquid body wash, snacks in the pantry, bottled water, paper towels, fresh fruits and vegetables in the fridge, raspberries, blackberries, spinach, boneless chicken breast, varied grains, quinoa, wild rice, pasta other than macaroni or spaghetti, whole wheat bread, cable television, iPhones, brand name wireless earbuds, online gaming, keyless ignition, matching furniture, new clothes, simply orange juice. Everyone has their own room. Never had a utility turned off. Air conditioning, heating, matching comforters and linens, new doorknobs, no holes in the walls, no visible drywall patches, matching towels in bathrooms, garage refrigerator. Story 38. Some memories from growing up. Asterisk matching towels. Asterisk name brand laundry detergent. Asterisk having plenty of food during the last week of the month. Asterisk having a snowblower in a climate with regular or occasional snow. Asterisk having 4 matching tires on the car in the driveway. Asterisk having a phone number that does not change frequently. Story 39. Rocker switches. Drawers that roll smoothly. Carpet that is not worn down to the threads. Just feeling warm inside. Story 40. My grandma is from Argentina. Some decades ago, a friend visited and made a comment while driving about passing through the undesirable part of town. The friend was shocked because practically every building had a satellite dish, indicating that the residents had televisions, which would be nearly unheard of back in Argentina. Story 41. Rugs. I never realized how much rugs cost until we bought a house. You can easily tell someone's wealth based on the number and size of rugs. Story 42. Shareables are left out for anyone to take and enjoy. I wish I could host guests at my place with drinks and snacks without worrying about my bank account. Story 43. There was a moment I was especially aware of how well we were doing. A classmate of my middle school-age son had come over to play Minecraft. When his mother and sister came to pick him up, the sister exclaimed as she walked in the front door. The foyer was basic but also spotless. There were no coats, shoes, backpacks, or personal items. I realized that not everyone lives that way. Story 44. Towels come in various sets and serve specific purposes, such as beach towels and decorative ones that are not meant for everyday use. I have 3 or 4 old towels that I didn't purchase. They just appeared in my possession over the years. Story 45. I remember hosting a group of children for a spaghetti dinner. One young man walked around our house in awe and said, "There's just so much to look at." We had regular middle-class framed prints on the walls, family photos, and books on shelves. It truly changed my perspective. Story 46. Having steps in the walkway through their grassy yard leading to the doorway. Sometimes as I leave for work, I look at my front yard and think to myself, I have front yard steps. I pulled myself out of poverty. Story 47. Matching furniture, bed linens, towel sets, appliances, dishware, glassware, cutlery, a set of knives, and food storage containers enhances the overall aesthetic. This includes features like a dishwasher and an ice and water dispenser built into the refrigerator, as well as stainless steel appliances. Using coordinated items was a rarity when I was growing up. Story 48. I have always wanted a refrigerator that had an ice and water dispenser. That was the sign of wealth for me. Even now that I can afford it, I still don't have one because my current refrigerator still works after so many years. Story 49. When I was a kid, I thought having cabinets in your kitchen that hid away the garbage can meant you had a rich person's house. Story 50. When I was growing up, we had a paved driveway. Gravel made skateboarding and basketball somewhat challenging. A couple of times a year, my dad and I would rake the entire area to level it off. That was a lot of fun. Story 51. Having sets of plastic bags ready in a designated drawer in the kitchen provides convenience and organization. Story 52. Living in an actual house was something I longed for. We lived in small apartments, and I always thought that anyone with a single-family home and a yard was wealthy. Story 53. A designated area in the house for exercising or revisiting a hobby or project can be very beneficial. You don't need to move the sofa or anything else to work out. Your weights and equipment have a specific place in the house that you can use at any time. Story 54. Honestly, having a house means you are wealthy to me. I live in Seattle, and houses are very expensive here. None of my friends own a house. Story 55. A garage full of items you didn't discard because you didn't have to move every 2 years and didn't have to get rid of old belongings. Along with that are family records, paperwork, and photos in boxes or volumes. You had cameras to capture moments and film the kids from day one, and you have all the photos and videos. Story 56. I knew we had arrived when we moved into a house with more than one bathroom. Felt like an indescribable luxury. Story 57. As a female teenager in the 2010s, other girls always had name brand beauty products like Victoria's Secret or Bath & Body Works perfume, body wash, and lotion. Instead of the Walmart brand Suave or some knockoff body mist, I rarely received those name brand products as special gifts for birthdays or Christmas, or if I saved enough money to buy them myself. Story 58. When I was a child, people often thought we were wealthy because we only drank spring water from a cooler. However, we weren't rich like our neighbor who had a chairlift going up the stairs. Story 59. I always noticed the heat and food, which is sad. It feels completely different when I walk into someone's house and feel like I can take my coat off. Story 60. My spouse and I both grew up in low-income households, about 1,500 miles apart. We experienced fluctuating food and shelter insecurity for years and are still recovering from some of the worst socioeconomic determinants of health. He always thought that an outdoor hose spigot and an attached sink sprayer in the kitchen were fancy. I thought bowls of fresh fruit were fancy, along with maybe an ice maker with a water dispenser on the fridge or a sunroof on a car as indicators of wealth. We both agreed that home computers and large flat-screen televisions were symbols of upper-middle-class status. The world has changed a lot. Now, I understand that there are only 2 classes, workers and the bourgeoisie, all of us manipulated by capitalists. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.